Yo, what's up, Giants fan? Welcome to the one and only Giants Brawl podcast. I'm Mike Trainer at Mike Trainer MFT on Twitter. I'm with
What
Jules
up?
NYC1. Then you got John NYG Slap Parade. You know what it is. Quick shout out, guys. I was on a podcast. If anybody wants to listen to it, there's a podcast going around called Why We're Fans. These guys, Gennaro and Duran, had me on as a guest. I was talking about how I became a Giant fan, all that. Pretty fun to do. Talk a lot of shit how I became a Giant fan. So, you know, go look for it, man. Look it up on Twitter, wherever you listen to your podcast. Why We're Fans. Starring me, Mike Trainer. It was a good time, man. Had a good time. I think Jules they want you on next, man. So we'll see, man. They
Oh,
might be reaching out to you soon. I know you
that's
got
it, bro.
I know you got other things in the works, with other
Yeah, a
podcasts
couple of
going
the
on and
podcasts
stuff.
might come up next week. Look, we're doing our best to branch out. Giants Brawl here and the Brawl Network and everything else. So, going being welcomed on to other people's podcasts, having them on ours is just the way to kind of go about doing it, right?
That's it. We're blowing up, man. You're blowing up to Facebook. We got I think 500,000 followers already. Um, at the Instagram, Giants Brawl NYC. I think we got about 60 followers. So I need work to do, man. I don't even know what I'm doing on Instagram, to be honest, fellas. I think I might be a little bit too old for that. I'm posting pictures of us. I post pictures of my dog, but then I come across the timeline and then I just see hot women in tight shorts dancing. I'm like, click yes, follow, it gets really addicting. I mean, you follow, you click one of them, and then there's another one that pops up even hotter than the last. So I'm like, man, it gets very addicting on that thing, man.
So what were you on there for, like 4 or 5 hours?
Pretty much, yeah. So that was my entire weekend. How about you, Jules? I think you went down to the NYC, huh?
Yeah, man. Listen, you know what? Believe it or not, I had been delaying an issue with my cell phone all week for I don't know, a couple of months. I literally, when my job upgraded their email to Outlook, it kind of screwed up some of my contacts, and I ended up finding out the whole mechanics behind it and everything else. But literally, I couldn't go to the Apple store on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, so I had to go into Manhattan. So I went to the one in Grand Central. I was in and out in 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it. There was fucking a line around the block, to the Barclays Center for the one in Brooklyn, and that shit was only doing limited services. The one in Grand Central was full service, in and out in 10 minutes. I was like,
Sure.
yo, all you got to do is fucking go on a train, an extra couple of stops, and you were there. You know what I mean?
You sure
It
you're
was
on the right
ridiculous.
line? Maybe you're on the line of the COVID line. Maybe that's
Yeah,
what.
no. Listen, I mean, they got the whole thing set up. If you ever been to the one in Grand Central, it's right by the stairs. So they had the whole stair sort of blocked off, and they had these kits set up with gloves and all this hand sanitizer and all this craziness. But meanwhile, they just ask you some questions, and the kids even you don't even have to answer yes or no. Just want to let you know that if you're around anybody. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it. Then you go upstairs and you go to the second little platform. They give you a little temperature test. Bang, you're in. And that was it.
Right.
I was fucking in and out, I think, in 10 minutes. The guy told me how with your Apple phones, you got to be careful that sometimes, believe it or not, if you go to save a contact, it can end up getting overridden by especially work emails if they're attached to your phone. And then all of a sudden they get saved to that email. So when we switched emails, I lost 100 contacts. It was ridiculous. I couldn't figure out who was who. I was getting numbers from people. I'm like, what the hell is this? So long story short, the dude fucking fixed this shit for me in 5 minutes. I walked out, all the contacts are back. I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. And all of a sudden I was in Manhattan on Saturday night, and I'm just like, yo, let me go grab a drink somewhere. I was like, Cuomo allowed us to have something open. And it was weird. Some places were completely dead. And granted, I was in Midtown, so I did a little walking, and I had a little downtown for a little bit on 3rd Avenue. Nice. And then all of a sudden you would hit a little stretch in the 30s. And it was bars that were packed almost. I mean, on the outside, they were jammed to capacity. Yes, they had the heating and they had little dividers set up and shit. But for the most part, man, it was crazy. And then also you go to another place where it's just closed temporary. And you're like, yeah, sure. And the other ones are closed for good, coming soon. It was just weird, man. But all in all, I ended up at a place called Tap Room, which is in the 20s. I went in there and they were like, oh, you got to make sure you eat. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And they make you fill out a little questionnaire. You did all that kind of shit. So I grabbed a quick bite, had a couple of beers, and then headed home after that.
Well, you said Public House was closed, man. That's the place where we probably should do or try to get, our little podcast live from Public House when it opens back up.
Oh man, I can't wait. Again, they were doing renovations, bro. I looked inside. I'm very familiar with the place. I'm like, what did they renovate? Did they just take off the bottles and clean the shelves or some shit and put the bottles back up?
Yeah, it's a bar.
I didn't see any kind of renovation done in that joint, even though it's a great spot. I love it, but still.
You remind me of the Apple store. I broke my iPad probably like before the pandemic started. So I remember going in there, was just like do it in and out like real quick. Yeah, because there's like part of my iPad was like all black.
Oh,
And the
God.
guy's like, yeah, he's like, what'd you do? Like, and I told him, I was like, listen, I was watching porn, shit fucking on my iPad. It dropped. It fell right on the fucking floor, bang, right on the hard fucking wood plank. And all of a sudden, like, it just like half was like black, and the other thing I finished what I was doing, but I still needed the whole fucking screen, the next time. So
you got the split screen.
Yeah, I had the split screen, like, all black, and then other action going on. But my man, like, fucking in and out, like 5 minutes. He's like, hey, here it is, fix it. Like, no problem. Fucking free. Like, didn't even fucking charge me. I'm like, fucking greatest, man.
Dude,
these nerds know what they're doing, man.
Listen, I'll tell you that the one, to me, the best one to go to, because like, even though it has a lot of traffic because it's Grand Central, for whatever reason, they have some of the best technicians there. I've worked upstairs for the last like 8 years in that building. And literally, dude, like they're great. They're on top of it. They send you text. They'll let you know if it's a 45-minute wait, if it's a 5-minute wait. And I've never not had a situation resolved going to that spot. I mean, I know they're all good, but that one in particular, like, that's like my home base if I have anything wrong with anything with Apple related.
It's awesome. What about you, John? How was your weekend, man? Do you have any Apple situations or porn issues?
That's my nice Android user, right? No.
that's exactly right. Android. I never had a screen problem, nothing.
John still got VHS tapes like from the 80s with the fucking big bushes.
He's got the flip phone.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, I still.
Your chain? I didn't realize. No, it was a low-key weekend. I took the girl out for we go to this Rodizio spot down in Long Branch in Jersey, and it's just like this like little hole in the wall place. But like the people who own it, they're like from Brazil, little Brazilian barbecue steakhouse place. But the shit is just straight crack. Oh my god, it's so fucking good. If you're ever in Jersey, fans, if you're ever in Jersey, Sabor de Brazil in Long Branch, shit's fire. So I went over there.
Do they come out with all the different kinds of meats like every 5 minutes, and you turn your card over like green or red?
Mike, it's even better than that. So instead of being at their mercy,
better than that,
bro.
Better than that,
instead of being at their mercy, and you just basically, whatever they bring out, you want it, you don't. You kind of have to just wait for what you want. This place, it's a buffet style. So you bring your plate up to the barbecue, and they cut the meat, whatever you hand select, right into your fucking plate. So it's juicy, like perfect. Oh, I'm about to go there tomorrow again.
Wow, I don't want to get up, John. That's the thing. Like, maybe I could have somebody go up to that fucking buffet for me and bring back all the meat.
Listen, you know what I think they really should do, right? This is something they should do with like the new bars to get them going again. They should do that same kind of concept. We just turn it on and off, but we're drinking, right? Fuck it, right? Like you pay like $100, whatever it is. That shit's green. Bring me over another shot of Jameson. Bring me over another beer. Fuck it. I won't even remember to turn the fucking thing over.
Dude, Mike, that's actually pretty brilliant, bro. That's not a bad idea.
And then I'll just be like, look, I ain't driving, and here's my address. Just call me a motherfucking cab.
Yeah, right. I'm incapacitated right now, but I need more meat. Can you I need help? Like, dude, I remember going to those Brazilian joints, man. The card, man, was always green, man. I was just like, yo, keep bringing it, man. Keep bringing it. Those places were fucking fantastic. Dude, they used to be in like Mount Vernon and Fleetwood back in the day, like right on the corner, like right off the Hutchinson River Parkway, man. I used to go there probably like, once every couple of months, man. It was fucking fantastic.
Well, they used to have that one on Central Avenue in Hartsdale too for a little while.
Yeah.
Right across the street from like the Fridays over there and whatnot.
That's right. Yeah. Forgot about that, man. Shit.
So I said, listen, they got to open up the bar one now. That's it. Bar and go or something like that. They call it bar green and red.
Maybe
after a while you start seeing it, it's like, oh, is this even green or red? I don't even know if this is purple no more. I'll just give me another drink.
Yeah. If they open up a buffet where it's just like drinks, Jules would just be like, yeah, it would be bad news, man.
That should be bad.
That bar would be always green, he'd be fucking on the floor.
Could you imagine they had like a buffet of like just tap beer? You just walk around like, all right, fuck it, go help yourself, pour that shit in.
All right. Buffet. It's a buffet style. Like, pour yourself. Oh my God, forget about it, man.
Keep coming, bro. My shit is green.
You'd have buckets. Of beer, fucking bringing it back to the fucking table, man.
Some ambitious motherfuckers are gonna take one of these ideas and make themselves $1 million.
I'll let you know. You already have Giants Brawl first.
Right. Who want credit, man? I'm just too lazy to make it happen.
Yeah. It's just somebody's gonna be like, yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna do it.
Well, listen.
Put something on your menu that says Giants Brawl on it.
That's it. Let's give a shout out to the podcast. Let us go there one day for free, and we're good.
Listen, if you fans didn't leave us because you fucking all of a sudden start getting hungry, like we'll keep us on, man. We're gonna talk about around the NFL, man, around the NFL first, and then we'll talk about some Giants possible free agent signings. So let's get right to it, boys. Around the NFL, I heard Russell Wilson today wants to go to one of our rivals, the hated Dallas Cowboys. What do you guys think about that shit?
Listen, I know, and it's crazy because there's a lot of buzz going on, especially last week. Russell basically stating that he wants some protection and like they need to get a better offensive line, and all this like things that are going on. Listen, I don't blame the guy, right? Nobody wants to get knocked around, 17 times a game, right? Yeah. But yeah, I know that was a big thing. But then again, too, that Seattle, as a front office, basically came out and said they're not doing shit with Russell. So Russell can want to go all he wants to, right? They ain't letting go of him, right? And I don't blame him. That dude's a franchise quarterback. He is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. Like, you're not going to just let him go. And he's got weapons, man. DK Metcalf's a beast. Tyler Lockett. The news is, though, that they might not keep Chris Carson. And that's going to be interesting where they kind of believe in either Penny or, of course, who knows, maybe they get something in the draft, right? Because I don't really foresee too many running backs going early because they just don't anymore. And, you got some good ones in this class, maybe not great ones, but some real good ones. And there'll be somebody sitting there for them at first round pick if they want to do that.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about Russell Wilson going to the Cowboys. I like Russell Wilson. I don't want to fucking hate the guy.
Yeah, seriously. If he went there, I would go from him being like one of my favorite quarterbacks I can like and root for to being like, I can't stand you, bro.
He looks so fucking weird in the Dallas guy. But I understand him. He, of course, go to one of the best offensive lines. He don't want to get sacked like he was sacked like 400 times in his career already. Like in how many years? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous, absurd number. So it's probably like his girlfriend Sierra trying to make, or his wife Sierra now trying to make him like go somewhere else. That's what it is. She don't want to live in Seattle. It rains there all the time.
Well, you know what's crazy too? Everybody's supposed to go into the fucking Cowboys. They're gonna re-sign Dak. They're gonna fucking trade for fucking Watson. Like everybody quarterback, just fucking put a quarterback on the Cowboys. Yeah, that's all they need. It's like ridiculous, dude. It's like, first of all, I think it was Stephen A. Smith was saying that they should sign, I guess, because they should trade Dak and trade him for Watson, right? Which is the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life, because that means they would then have to sign the quarterback who has been their quarterback for 5-6 seasons now, and then trade him for Deshaun Watson. Like, what the fuck? Who would do that in their right mind? Go out of their way to sign their quarterback who's liked by the organization and then trade him for Deshaun Watson? Like, doesn't even make sense. So I think all that shit is just hot air because there's nothing really to talk about, and they just love mentioning the Cowboys. It's like a fucking team that they just have to say and have to mention. So that's why I think a lot of these rumors are going around. Russell Wilson ain't going nowhere. My prediction, he'll be in fucking Seattle in 2021.
I believe that wholeheartedly. That the NFL is better than all the other leagues combined in having a 12-month season, and this is just one of the ways they do it. You got Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. They're trying to tell us a month ago that there's going to be 18 different teams with new quarterbacks next year. Like, all right, I'll believe that when I see it. That's
absolutely right, John.
That's a lot. Teams don't want to do that, man. They want to be able to, have a quarterback in-house. They want to have that stability of the position. There's franchises that have gone decades. None of us are 50 years old, and there's teams that haven't had a franchise quarterback in 50 years. I really don't see all these teams trying to get rid of their franchise quarterbacks. Not Cowboys with Dak Prescott, not fucking Russell Wilson, not Deshaun Watson. You might be staring down, the rest of the ownership's life without having that guy back in the building again. They're gonna figure shit out. They gotta keep people's interest. That's really what this comes down to, I think.
NFL's all year round, fellas. I know people ask like, what are you going to talk about like after the season ends on Giants Brawl? Like, dude, NFL just never stops. There's always something, good news, bad news. I mean, Jules, you mentioned Deshaun Watson. There's a rumor going around that Carolina now wants to trade for Watson. They're willing to give up 3 first-rounders and Christian McCaffrey. I'm like, listen.
Yeah, I heard that today. Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's not really that absurd, but because Christian McCaffrey, like, when they lost him last year, they ran the ball pretty well.
They did.
You know what I mean?
Mike Smith was right. He filled in pretty well for them. That's fair.
Davis, right?
Well, Davis, that's it. Thank you.
Mike Davis. And then, he played like pretty well. So they didn't really miss a beat like without McCaffrey. So plus, when running backs get beat up, they get injured. They kind of tend to slow down, go downhill. Not Barkley, of course. My man's coming back 100,000, 10%.
Well, Barkley's well rested.
and he's well rested for a whole year. So like, I could see them getting rid of him, going in a new direction, getting a quarterback, and going from there. I think that might be a good trade for probably both those teams, even better than the Jets offer, I think.
I mean, dude, you want to talk about blockbusters? I mean, shit. If they did trade Christian McCaffrey, who's arguably one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the NFL, for Deshaun Watson, obviously top 5 quarterback, or arguably whatever. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's a blockbuster there. I mean, I just don't. I don't even know what to think about that. I mean, does Teddy Bridgewater get thrown in that trade too? So probably, like Houston has some kind of a quarterback, or are they just going for a draft pick? And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of that going around. You know how it is right now.
Yeah. That's just what it is. I don't know what's worse, this time of the year with the ridiculous rumors or the draft season. That month leading up to the draft where all these ridiculous stories are coming out about who's drafting what. I mean, they're doing it already now. Everybody's had, all first version of the mock draft, like the biggest stroke fest that's ever existed in sports. Fucking mock draft. That's what we're going into in a few weeks.
It's a lot of noise and shit, but I mean, I'll tell you guys, I can't give you like exactly the full name of the source. My guy Chris, who lives up in Bedford, that's all I could say. He's been telling me shit about the Giants for years. He told me like a week before McAdoo was going to get hired, a couple other things, etc. He did tell me the Giants did make a call to Seattle about Russell Wilson, but is that just due diligence? Most likely, because they have to know, especially when a team like Dallas all of a sudden is in the mix and you're hearing that they get him, like, oh, we got to call him just to make sure. That's what I kind of think that's happening. I don't believe that Russell Wilson would actually get traded to the Giants, but it's just one of the things that I guess they have to do because that's part of your job, right?
I mean, listen, you're also looking at a Super Bowl, 2-time Super Bowl quarterback. The guy won one already. If you brought that kind of talent here to New York, yeah, I mean, it's hard to resist that, especially when you're still working with a young quarterback and a young team. Bringing in a veteran of that presence just kind of changes the whole diameter of the offense and everything else. So the idea is good, but the reality is he ain't. Like I said, I'd be shocked if he left Seattle.
I can't see it.
Yeah, that would be hard to say. When you think of Seattle at this point, you think of Russell Wilson. I don't know. I don't see it happening. Maybe that's just, like off-season story, like we said. It could be him trying to kind of encourage them to go a certain way in free agency in the draft in the off-season this year, try to get more protection. I mean, they have all the weapons they need. They just got to protect them, and they're back to being 12-14 or if there's an extra game, whatever it is next season.
I was going to say there's 2 quarterbacks that are most likely going to get moved, and it's going to be either Deshaun Watson or Carson Wentz, if not both, right? And the crazy shit is I think Carson Wentz might get done before Watson does. I mean, rumor has it, and this is why I'm bringing this up, is because this will lead into some of the free agent talk when we get to it shortly regarding the Giants. But, one of the talks is that the Bears are the front runner for Carson Wentz. Which, okay, I mean, I guess.
Anything's better than Trubisky.
I guess. I mean, but dude, it's crazy. Like, you'll see some of their numbers, and their side-by-side comparisons as far as, like, completion percentage and yards. It's not that far off from one another. So, like, I am not really quite sure how they think that, like, doing this trade is, like, an upgrade for them from Trubisky to Wentz. But, hey, to each his own. But I definitely would think that that's going to be more likely of a move that we'll see happen in the next couple of weeks rather than Russell Wilson or anything like that. I mean, look, dude, if Seattle has to go out and fucking get one of these good rookie, linemen that'll be in the draft, there's some good lineman free agents that'll be out there. Look, Nate Solder might be available.
Right. Take him. Somebody fucking take him. My man's retiring, I think he's fucking out. But anyway, what was I going to say? What were we talking about just now? I just fucking totally lost my train of thought. So Carson Wentz, like, going to Chicago. I heard that the Eagles were trying to get a first-round pick for Carson. Like, that's insane. Who would give up a first-round pick for Carson Wentz? That dude was terrible, man. Like, I don't get it, man. Like, a second rounder, maybe. Like, I would think that's more reasonable. And I think, right, dude, I think that's why the Bears end up grabbing him. You know what I mean? They got to get rid of him. He can't stay there. It's a mess in Philly right now. I'm glad it's a fucking shit show. I'm happy.
Absolutely.
But, like, listen, wherever he goes, he's going to suck anyway, so it don't matter.
Well, I mean, that's the crazy thing too, right? You hear quite often, especially when there's a whole new coaching staff. Well, not technically, but at least there's a new head coach there and whatnot. that usually they want their own guy there as far as the quarterback's concerned. So now you're gonna look to trade Wentz, but then they have like Jalen Hurts kind of in the waiting, and it's like, is this guy even really that good? I mean, he has some good, he shows some flashes and everything else, but like, really, is that your guy? You're set on now Jalen Hurts being your quarterback, or with the 6th pick that you luckily got for doing what you did on that Sunday night game? How is some of these other quarterbacks not going to fall to you there? Right. I saw one of these crazy ass stupid mock drafts where Justin Fields didn't even get picked until like the 7th overall with Carolina. And it's like, wait a minute. Okay. So the Eagles are sitting there at 6. They just traded Carson Wentz and they got Justin Fields sitting there. They're going to pass on him and take a fucking wide receiver. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense there.
Jules, you hit it on the money. That's why I think all these fucking quarterbacks are going to go pretty much 1 through 5, because Philly at 6, they know that teams are interested, like Philly be interested in drafting a quarterback. That's why you're going to see all these guys go like real quick. And that's why the Giants are going to have a good pick of their litter pretty much.
I think so. Like I said, you got 4 quarterbacks that they're now sort of throwing around saying that they can get picked in the top 10, right? Whether or not that happens, I doubt it. But you could I definitely say 2 are going to go, maybe 3, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 2 linemen are getting tossed around there now too. So you're talking about 5, 6 picks right there. We didn't draft any defensive guys. We didn't draft any wide receivers yet, which we have another 2 or 3 that have to go in that order as well. Yeah, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting and fun to see what actually falls to us at 11 this year.
We'll talk more about the draft next
week. Oh yeah, definitely with that. But one note that we do have to mention, talking about the league, is, man, that crazy news that came out yesterday about Vincent Jackson, man. How insane is that, dude? 38 years old, just found like dead in a Florida hotel. Nothing, so far, nothing, any word about foul play. Didn't hear anything about any kind of paraphernalia laying around. Apparently he went missing from his family. I read some shit.
Like a month.
That's just insane. I don't understand what happened. And then I don't know if you guys heard after that, right? I mean, like, not that that's not a crazy enough story as is, but then did you guys hear Ryan Leaf today?
No.
Oh, man, dude.
Hold on. Breaking news by Jules.
Oh, bro, listen, he was back in the news, my man. Like, I'm sure this shit is gonna hit social media harder. But then there's probably like a lot of young people that are like, who the fuck is Ryan Leaf, right?
He's a maniac. He's a lunatic, absolute lunatic.
Listen, there was one time a debate.
I
was gonna say there was one time a debate coming out of college. Who's the better quarterback and who should go 1, who should go 2, Peyton Manning or this Ryan Leaf, right? So for those of you younger listeners that don't know who the hell Ryan Leaf is, well, that's who he was coming out of college. And then he went to San Diego and just turned into a complete psychopath, right? Like that guy got some issues, man. And like, bro, he's breaking down in this video saying that like how the NFL's been ignoring his brothers of the NFL and like they can't keep dying on him and Junior Seau and Vincent Jackson. And he's like, this is craziness. And I'm like, wait, dude. This guy was found in a fucking hotel room. We don't even know what happened, what the circumstances are. How you blame the NFL? Like, did he get like concussions and went psychotic and just fucking like went in there and died or something? Like, I don't know, but man, that Ryan Leaf shit is scary. Dude, that boy needs some help.
I mean, that's what he's insinuating right there. It's all the fucking head games and shit. I mean,
obviously, shout out to the family. Like, I'm sorry to hear. That's just, this story has got like a lot more to it, and it's just been crazy so far.
We're gonna hear more about it. That CTE shit is real, man. I don't know if you guys watched the documentary about Aaron Hernandez on Netflix.
Yes, yeah, that was good,
dude. Yeah, and they took pictures of his brain and shit, like how he kind of like fucking flipped and changed, how like a lot of the symptoms kind of geared to how he was acting and his like impulsiveness and all that crazy shit. So. I mean, Vincent Jackson, I don't really recall him getting any bad concussions, like, like
I don't either.
I don't remember, I remember I seen Antonio Brown get knocked the fuck out like plenty of times. And you can tell how crazy he is. But like, yeah, it's scary, man. But that's the way football is. Football's a violent game, and unfortunately, some people are just gonna get hit like too many times or too hard, and they're gonna end up like that. But this is the life they chose. So I'm scared the NFL is going to eventually go away in like 20 years. If the way
it's going to turn into like flag football or something.
It might. Yeah. I mean, it is kind of already because the way the offense is going, you can't even touch a guy. But yeah, they desperately want to keep this game around for sure. That's why they changed all these fucking rules.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, rest in peace, Vincent
Yes,
Jackson.
definitely. Like I said, listen, Vincent Jackson, he was a borderline. I think he was a borderline almost Hall of Fame. And the guy, he had a couple Pro Bowls. He had a really good career. I remember having him on my fantasy team for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's a shame to just hear that. So when I read the thing, I was like, that's some bullshit. And then I started looking into it. I'm like, holy shit, this guy just died like out of nowhere, 38 in a fucking hotel room somewhere. Like that doesn't even make sense. At least you almost wanted to hear like there was like drugs or something involved, like a guy OD'd or some shit, and like that might not even be the case. You're like, okay, so you had no medical conditions either. Like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Leaf, man, they gonna lock that dude up, man. He's scary. No.
Ryan Leaf. He's a nutbag.
But I guess moving on to free agents, right? Because that's the big thing coming around. Look, the Giants, they have some players that also they're gonna have to re-sign, and then obviously ones that are in free agency that they're gonna look to sign. What's a couple of names that are jumping out to you guys? I mean, obviously the main spots that we're looking at are the same thing with the draft. It's that wide receiver 1, it's gonna be that cornerback 2, and then probably some sort of edge rusher at the end that we can maybe get either through the draft or signing a free agency.
I think they're going to prioritize trying to sign a wide receiver in free agency. I don't know specifically who it would be. Honestly, I don't even care who it is, as long as the team finds success with him on the roster. That's really what matters. So as long as they don't pay too much, which the thing about free agency is that's just what it is. There's bidding wars on players, and you almost always overpay for free agents. It's just how the game works. So as long as it's not too bad and we can get a guy who can actually be an impact and open up the offense when Saquon comes back and, make Daniel Jones look like a polished version of what he did as a rookie, with, all those touchdowns and big plays that he had. I don't particularly care. I like a tall guy, big body receiver that can get open, can win the one-on-one contested catches. So whoever kind of fits that mold.
You're describing Galladay. You're describing Kenny Galladay right there. Because Kenny Galladay, he did turn down a contract extension with Detroit. And I mean, sure, Detroit could go ahead and put that stupid franchise tag on him, but knowing that the guy don't want to be there, they already traded Stafford. Do they really want to pay this guy close to $13 million right around there to keep him for 1 year? I don't think so. I think they let him walk and move on in a new direction.
Well, he might have denied the franchise tag because he thinks he can get more in free agency, which if that's the case, I don't know that I want to pay him $18-20 million a year if that's what he's thinking that he's going to get, which could be.
It's not going to be that high, John. It'll be like, I think it'll be close to that, maybe with a bigger signing bonus. I think the guy's looking for maybe more years, and a bigger sign, hopefully, because I want it. That's my target.
Oh, yeah, if we can, all right.
That's how I want him. Yeah, I want him.
Mike stealing it in because for one point it almost seemed like we were big supporters of Chris Godwin over here, and now all of a sudden you're kind of leaning towards Kenny Galladay. And I promise we did not plan this, right? Because I was kind of leaning this way as well of late. Because I look at A-Rob, and the whole reason why I brought up the whole Carson Wentz thing earlier is that if you're going to really make this trade as far as the Bears organization is, right? There's no way you're going to give up arguably your best offensive player in Allen Robinson, right? Like that would be the dumbest move you could obviously make as a franchise. You just make this big trade, you bring in this quarterback, and then you take away his best weapon. Like that would make absolutely no fucking sense. Now, does the Bears automatically get a long-term deal done with Allen Robinson? No, but you're not hearing any reports like you were with Galladay where they're saying, hey, Rob wants out of Chicago. You're not hearing any of that shit. He just wants to play with a better quarterback, and maybe Wentz is, right? So what's the harm if you make this trade, bringing in Wentz and then franchising Allen Robinson for the 1 year? And if they do have this tremendous success together, well, now you got to start working out contracts and bringing this guy in. So for the Bears, that kind of makes that smart move there where they take Allen Robinson completely off the table, right? And then I agree with you with the whole Lions thing. Like they're obviously restructuring everything there, right? They want to sort of rebuild this franchise inside out, right? And if that's the move there, then you're right. If there's a guy that doesn't clearly want to be on board, they're going to lose Marvin Jones. They're going to lose Kenny Galladay, right? They have a pretty high draft pick. They could probably land one of those 3 big wide receivers. They could bring in one of those kids real easily. Yeah. I mean, Galladay comes out and he starts to think, look, I would have been all over Kenny Galladay. I love the guy. I drafted him a couple of seasons in a row now for fantasy and shit. My biggest concern with him is that the dude doesn't play every game. You know, like I don't know if he played 16 games yet in his career. And that worries me a little bit. You know, like if you're going to tell me we can get at least 14 out of him, I'm okay and I'm on board. But that's where I kind of answer with John, where it's like, look, he can't really ask for 18, 19 million because he doesn't give you 16 games. He doesn't give you 100 catches. That's not the type of receiver he is. He's going to do between about 70, maybe 80. You know, maybe he has a little more volume with the Giants, so you can get it up to like 80, 90. You know, but he'll have 12, 1,300 yards and he'll have 10 touchdowns, right? Like he's going to bring that. And he's that big body that we've been missing for a long time where you can compare it to some of these other receivers that we've had in the past. So, yeah, Kenny Galladay is a guy. But you know what? The Giants, again, are in such a great position with that 11th pick where they don't necessarily have to go for one of those big names because in all honesty, all the big names keep getting these franchise tag possibility, you know, and we kind of just gave you reasons why we don't think Galladay might be one of those guys. But a name that's sort of going under the radar that we might be able to get, you know, sort of on the cheap, like, you know, under 10 million, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood is Corey Davis. I mean, this guy was the 5th overall pick in the 2017 draft. You know, he was coming along, but, you know, he had guys like Marcus Mariota, you know, they were run first, throw second type team in Tennessee. You know, this is a guy that broke out a little bit last year. You know, he had almost 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had 5 100-yard games receiving. You know, here's a guy that I said, like, look, you could get him and then possibly one of these other younger guys in the draft. Now all of a sudden we got a receiving core, right? You know, so that's a name to just kind of keep in mind as far as wide receivers are concerned, where him or another one that, you know, I think is just more of a just kind of fan favorite just because of Gettleman's history is, of course, Curtis Samuel. But, you know, I definitely would lean more towards Corey Davis if we could, because I think you're going to sign one of those two guys around the same amount of money. What are your thoughts?
I tell you, I'll take either one of them, like Corey Davis or Samuel. I kind of like them both. Samuel had like, you know, when he had somebody decent throw him in the ball, he did produce. I mean, Cam Newton didn't really produce for the guy, but Teddy Bridge, he actually threw the ball more, and you can see Curtis Samuel catch like a lot more. You know, he caught more touchdown passes, a lot more screen passes. He got to the end zone, you know, quite a bit more, you know, last year. I like him. I like that connection to Gettleman, of course. That's never going to go away. I still like, you know, Godwin. I'm not really trying to shy away from him, but when Bruce, you know, when Arians came on the float and the praise, say you're not going nowhere, that pretty much says you're going to get franchise tag. You're going to keep him. Plus, why would he want to leave Tom Brady and Tampa? You just won the championship. Might as well fucking stay there, stay on. So that's, I mean, yeah, but like Davis, you're right, Jules. He got kind of lost in that running game, man. It's just like you know, like that's what happens. Like when you got Derrick Henry that just runs over people and you got a shitty quarterback, you know what I mean? You're not going to get that many passes. So yeah, I mean, Corey Davis might be that kind of guy like a Plaxico Burress was, that he was second fiddle in Pittsburgh, came to the Giants, became number one. Maybe Corey Davis, you know, or any of these wide receivers that want to sign with the Giants, maybe they want to take that next leap, that next level. So hopefully it's with us.
Yeah, and listen, he's only 26 years old. You know, the A.J. Brown blew up on the scene, you know, ever since Tannehill could show that he could throw the ball more than 40 yards, not like Mariota. And you know, they had Juno Smith, who was also a target out there in Tennessee. So, you know, he got overshadowed a lot, you know, with Derrick Henry and everything else. Like, yeah, man, look, this is a guy that's kind of like bleeding for that sort of attention. You put him in a New York market, oh man, who knows what you get. And again, you know, I'm not saying we bring this dude in, he's automatically going to be granted the number one wide receiver role, but he has potential to be that X receiver. And you could still go out and draft a rookie kid, you know, one of these young kids and bring them in as well, right? And then now you're just making it a really deep sort of wide receiving core. And we're not spending a ton of money because we still have a lot of guys that we got to sign that we want to keep that are on the team already.
I agree.
So any thoughts on wide receivers? That pretty much summed it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said everything there. I'm just looking forward to the moves that we end up making. And you know what's crazy? I mean, we're halfway through February already, guys. Like, we're a month and a half since the last game already. These decisions are going to be made pretty quickly. I think the franchise tag period starts like in a week or two. It's usually the week of my birthday, and my birthday's next week. So, yeah. So I think that's next week. So the kind of unofficial start, I guess, of the off season. And you know, before you know it, we're going to be in March, and that's going to be free agency, and then April's the draft, and then we're gonna know what all these guys are gonna look like. I just hope that, you know, this is, I don't remember what year. I think it was 06 Plaxico came over, or 05, 06 Plaxico came over. I just hope that this is this generation's that Plaxico coming in here, where it just kind of like takes everything off. I'm just looking forward to it.
That'd be nice, man. Send some birthday cake next week to us, man. You know our addresses, man. We fucking post that shit. Listen, I got an interesting target for you guys, man. Like, because I know like all the talk is about, drafting that tight end, Pitts, at number 11 if he's there. But what do you guys think about Hunter Henry signing as a tight end? Because it all depends on who they sign as free agents, really. Like, because it's going to influence their draft pick, especially on offense. Hunter Henry, man, he had like 600 yards last year, 4 touchdowns. He looks fully recovered from his ACL that he suffered in like 2 years ago. So he looks like he's back. He had a good year with the rookie last year. So I kind of like the Giants, like maybe signing him on, not too bad of a deal, man.
I can see that. I don't think that they're going into 2021 with Evan Ingram with 100% confidence. I think they're going to go into it optimistically, saying, hey, we know what this kid's ceiling is, and it's our job to get him to the ceiling. But I don't think they're going to be going in without having at least a second card to play. So I don't think they're going to be going, top shelf shopping for tight ends. But if they can get somebody who's a C+, B- tight end so far that maybe can grow with the offense with Saquon, Daniel, all those guys, fuck yeah. If Hunter Henry, sure. Let's do it.
I mean, I think he's a little bit better than the C- B+ type of. I think he's more like a B+ type of tight end. He's good quality. He just had a few injury plague type seasons in the past. So he's still a young guy, but that's what leads me to think that the Chargers aren't going to get rid of him. They need Herbert there with some weapons themselves. They can't just be throwing a ball to Keenan Allen all game, right? So they're going to literally. I think he'll re-sign. I'm not even sure that'll be an option for the Giants in free agency this year. I think one way or another, I think the Chargers definitely keep him for one more season. I would think that if they're going to look to do anything, because don't forget, they did give Ingram that 5th-year extension, right? So he's paid already with that. Well, there's ways to get around it where we'll hurt a little bit against the cap, but we can still free up some cap money for Ingram. But I think if there's going to be any kind of sort of like, okay, look, this is the last year, we're not going to re-sign you, they'll probably end up looking to get that kid Pitts with that 11th pick. And then that'll kind of sum it up where it's sort of like, look, Ingram, you're probably out after this season, buddy.
Because it could be the Pitts taking over for the guy. Well, what about?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, John.
I think what they're going to hope, best case scenario for them is that they can hopefully get Pitts in the first round, have him kind of learn under, whatever tight ends they have in the room at that point, try to, in the beginning of the season, showcase Ingram's value. And then hopefully by, maybe with the trade deadline, they can trade him, even if it's just for a third or whatever it is. But I think they're going to try to do that. And then at that point, they can slide Pitts into TE1 and kind of go forward from there with, with the rookie.
I could see that happen. Don't forget, we still got Kaden Smith in that room, man. When Evan Ingram was hurt, he played well against, I think Arizona was the game, like Kaden Smith kind of lit it up or whatever. So I know he's not that explosive type of guy, but he's solid. Yeah, he's good. But I don't know.
That's what we need. We don't need the fantasy football, the Madden, the tight end. We need a guy who's going to be reliable, who's going to be a secondary option for Daniel Jones and be able to block for Saquon and Daniel Jones when he runs the ball, and just be a anchor over there on the offensive line with whoever he plays next to with right tackle next season going forward. That's what we need. If it's Kaden Smith, I forgot about him. I'm kind of ashamed of myself because I was a big fan of his last year. I guess in 2019.
I know.
But he was young. He was a rookie. It's not like he was an old, a 6-year veteran where we know what his ceiling is.
Don't be ashamed, man. That right tackle. I'm glad you brought that up because it leads me into a guy that possibly get cut from Carolina. Carolina has a right tackle named Taylor Moton. I know you guys know because he's the best fucking right tackle that Carolina has, or tackle to begin with. They're saying he's another guy that wants a big extension, and so I could see maybe Carolina cutting him. I don't think they'll trade him. It usually ends up getting cut, but that's a guy that I'd sign, man. I know we got the rookie and Matty Purr, but third round pick, it takes a little time. He might need more than just a year or two to get his feet wet. I would like to sign a right tackle and solidify this line.
I mean, look, you're gonna give up Nate Solder. You're gonna probably give up Cam Fleming as well, right? So that's definitely gonna free up some space. Those guys are gone. The biggest free up there is basically going to be Zeitler, right? Do we cut Zeitler as well, right? Now all of a sudden you're going to create this right side sort of, I don't want to say problem, but something that's going to have to be looked at that we had with the left side of this past season. So that's something to keep in mind. But I'm starting to see where Zeitler's contract it'll free up close to like 13, 14 million if we did cut him as well. Now you're talking about freeing up between Zeitler and Solder and Cam Fleming and everyone else there. You're looking to free up somewhere in the neighborhood of almost close to $20 million. A
lot of money.
That's something you got to look at and consider. And then if you can get in one of these other right tackles where you're going to get them in for maybe half of that, then maybe get a guard in the draft, you really do have to start looking at things like that, especially when you're trying to rebuild that old line from and make it young. Right? Why would you not do that? How old is that guy in Carolina?
I think he's only 26.
Okay.
He kind of fits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No.
Either man. He's only 30. What would you guys rather do? Zeitler, Kevin Zeitler. Would you prefer to he's got one more year left on his contract, I believe. Would you prefer to restructure his contract, add another year to it? Have him for the next 2 years at a lesser number, more cap-friendly number, or just clean break this offseason and have to start somebody new? I think that I would prefer to restructure him, have him for 2 years, and then after his age 32 season, then see where it goes from there. But I don't mind having Kevin Zeitler for two more years here. He's a good dude in the locker room, and he's a leader for the offensive lineman.
He's one of our best offensive linemen.
What's that?
He's one of our best offensive linemen. Yeah. I don't want to cut him. I mean, sure, it saves $13 million, but who are you going to get?
Right. You have an explanation point when you're gonna trade it for a question mark. I would prefer to lock him up for even if he wanted to play hardball and if for 3 years, bro. There's offensive linemen that play to their late 30s. I'm not saying we got to keep him until 2028, but have him even if it's 2 or 3 more years. There's no shame in that. There's no sin in that. That actually is something you may actually want having on the team.
Well, yeah, you got to keep in mind too, though. I know he's only 30, 31, 30, whatever, but I think he's 31, 30. Right? I think he might have had a birthday already, if I'm not mistaken. But you got to understand too, he actually took, and again, not like this tremendous thing, but his rating was down from the year before, right? So he had a better rating in 2019 than he did in 2020. Is this sort of the start of a decline? We don't know, right? And you're paying this guy all that money. Now, look. If I had my choice and you told me that he would restructure this contract, whether or not it's 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be, but it does free up an extra $5-6 million for the Giants, then 100% absolutely I'd give it to him because at least you're still keeping that veteran presence there. He's still ranked as our best lineman to finish the season. So therefore, there is no reason not to do that. But is he going to do that? Does he want to get paid, right? Those are the things that are going to factor into it. And same to be said on defense. When you're looking at guys like Delvin Thompson and Thomas and Leonard Williams, right? So, I mean, are they going to be willing to do things like that? Are they going to say, look, I want to take a longer contract, give me signing bonuses, give me this kind of bonus, things that don't necessarily count against the cap so we can make them part of this Giants team? Yeah. I don't know. These are going to be questions for a lot of these type of players.
I think a lot of Giants players want to do that. I think they want to be here. For the guys that don't want to take a cut or rework their contract, they just prove that they don't want to be in Giants Stadium. So maybe let them walk, So. Hey, listen, correction about Taylor, that right tackle from Carolina. It looks like he is a free agent already.
Oh shit! Okay.
So wow. that could be something to keep your eyes on because other guys.
Do we have an official age on him?
26.
Okay.
It is 26. I was right.
So he fits the mold that we're looking for currently.
And some other guys do you guys want to get into the pass rushers that are free agents now? Or you want to keep talking about the offensive side of the ball?
Go for it, man. Let's go.
Yeah, you sure? You sure about this?
Yeah, right, go ahead.
Top free agent target. I know John's gonna like this. Shaq Barrett, baby. What are you, John? Come on, man. He's gonna get paid. Do we pay? This is the thing. Do we pay Leonard Williams and Shaq Barrett? Nobody's talking about this because they think we're so strapped with money. There's always ways to around the cap.
I think that we have a lot, not a little bit, but a lot more flexibility than these basic numbers say online because they have so many different options that they could do with players. The way they've wrote their contracts, I think it was in 2022, they have like an ungodly amount of cap space because all these rookie players they have on their rookie contracts and all the way they've structured the real free agents that they wanted to bring in here, foundational free agents like Blake Martinez and Bradbury, Logan Ryan, all those guys. I think I think I lost my train of thought.
No, maybe you put most of that money into that year. That's what you're trying to get at, right?
Yeah, so you could do things where you can sign more guys than you would think on the surface, but structure the contracts in such a way where you can have it spread out over a few years and play games with the numbers. So you can play at a higher level than your cap suggests. That's what the good teams are doing. When you look at the rosters of like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Chiefs, stuff like that, it's about managing the cap from an individual player standpoint. So I think that they're going to be able to do a lot more. And if it's Shaq Barrett, Leonard Williams, and that means we have to let go of Dalvin Tomlinson, I think Dalvin will be way more replaceable than Leonard Williams. If you can have those two guys with Dexter Lawrence coming into year 3, that is a fierce defensive line. Fierce.
I said it before, like Dalvin could go because I think Dalvin's producing because he has Leonard Williams next to him. I think that's why you've seen him have a career year. So
you saw it
that way.
Right when Leonard Williams came to the Giants in 2019. As soon as he came over in the trade, Dalvin Tomlinson was a different player. As soon as he came over.
Right. The second he got here. 100%. Second he got here. Yep.
So I don't want to take anything away from Dalvin because he's one of my favorite players on the team. Just from as a dude, super smart, plays like musical instruments and stuff like that. Like, he's just like a cool guy. He's not like a showman football player. He's just a good dude. Just like wants to put his head down, play football. He's like a giant. That's what you like about him. But if you're able to swing that around and get a guy like Shaq Barrett where you have a legitimate fierce outside edge rusher, and then you have Leonard Williams, Dexter, and then that'll make you hard. Just saying.
I also think it's going to be a little hard to sign both Shaq Barrett and Leonard Williams, bro.
Hey, we could dream, Jules. You don't have to break.
If we're dreaming, like money's no object, there is no salary cap. Sure, throw a fucking Kenny Galladay too, and we're just gonna go crazy, bro. What? Carson Wentz is our backup.
We're getting everybody.
It's not even that, man. Dude, you got to think most of our players are all on their rookie deals. They cost nothing. And we don't have that many foundational free agents that are on like second year, third year contract, or second and third contracts where they're getting top of the market money. Even our best players, they're not the top paid at their position. We have a lot more space than you think, Jules. I'm telling you.
There's definitely a lot of reconstructing things and people having to be caught and shit like that that'll free up space. So there's potential to create more salary cap room. Currently, we don't really have that much room. Currently, right now, it's at like $6 million if we just re-signed everything and kept it the way it is. So we don't have all that room. So there definitely has to be restructuring. There definitely has to be guys that get cut. There's potential where that you can free up a substantial amount of money. And then that would lead into certain things that we'll be able to do and kind of make adjustments to see who's the right fit, who we're going to resign, who do we go out and get from free agency. And then look, there's a lot of guys too, man, that are sort of like a Corey Davis, right? That we mentioned for wide receiver, a name that I'm going to kind of just quickly throw out and we can get back to Shaq Barrett. I just think that's like kind of reaching for like what we could get as far as like a top guy. But there's a guy called, Hanson Reddick out of Arizona. He's coming off of a career year. I mean, the guy's only 26 years old. He literally had 56 total pressures last season. He had 12.5 sacks, 20 for a loss, 6 forced fumbles. He had his best game against the Giants. Yeah. He had 5 sacks against us with 3 forced fumbles. I mean, he was a beast in that game. And that dude's a full unrestricted free agent where he's coming off of making his rookie deal of like $3.8 million or some shit like that. He's not going to look for like $19 million. He just ain't in that level of type of a signing just yet. That's a name that if Arizona doesn't sew him up, he could easily be a free agent where you can get him for a reasonable price and you can fit him in with Leonard Williams and these other guys where it's not really going to kill us against this cap. So those are kind of the names that I'm leaning more towards.
All right, we'll get him too, man. Bring him. Let's get everybody.
We signed everybody. We're gonna do what Tampa did. I don't know how the hell they went out and signed everybody this year. We're gonna figure that shit out.
For real. We're gonna do this Tampa.
what you're doing is basically you're front loading one contract and back loading the other. That's like the easiest one sentence way to explain it. So you can have two guys that are both averaging $18 million a year on your roster at the same time, but it doesn't cripple you in the salary cap because of the way you can do things with bonuses and all that shit. That's what I'm saying. They could spend a little more money this offseason on the surface just because of what they could manipulate. Because like I said, the season after this one, the way they're set up, they have a gold mine. And not to say that next year they're going to be going on this crazy free agent spending. What I'm just saying is it opens the door up where we can do things now if they feel like they have the opportunity to get some type of premier player at whatever position they wanted at. If it's Jack Barrett or, Allen Robinson, whoever it is that's going to come. I think they have the ability to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
I like the sound of it.
Yeah. I'm obviously you can see I'm fucking stoned as hell right now. So
there we go. That's it. That's why you can just zone in and out whenever you got it, bro. All of a sudden, someone just pop in and be like, "Oh, you know who we should sign?"
Breaking news: John's on an edible right now.
Nice. I can't wait till that's just legal all over the place for all your potheads out there.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah.
The right person just got to get paid. The right politician, the right group of guys just has to get greased by the right guy, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, you guys ever been to Denver?
Yep.
No.
No. Oh.
I want to though. I want to live there. I want to move there into Nashville. There's two places I want to go to.
Yeah, I've been to Colorado a few times, man. You go to Denver, man. There's more dispensaries out there than there are Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks combined.
I was gonna say, like, it was so much easier to go to one of those dispensaries in Denver than it was to go to a liquor store.
Really?
Yeah.
That easy,
bro.
You know what I mean? Like, I remember, like, from where and I wasn't too far off of what's that strip called, John? Like 8 Mile or some shit like that. What 8?
I don't remember.
Whatever the fuck it is, like the main strip that runs through downtown Denver, right? Literally, like where my hotel was like, pretty close to everything. It was like close to the center of everything. Literally, I could go 2 blocks down. There was a dispensary. I go another 5 blocks, another dispensary. I went to a liquor store to buy a bottle of liquor to bring back to the room. Bro, I had to walk like 17 miles, it felt like. Bro, I walked all the way over to the other side, which shit was like kind of desolate. Guys were coming up to me asking me for money and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Where am I? All of a sudden, like, Denver went from being like this cool little downtown area to like I was in the mountains or some shit out there. Like I was in Mile High. Like, what the fuck?
You said
and just to get some liquor.
you said 8 Mile. What is like Eminem there? Like the creator South Park?
Dude, I forgot what that shit was. You see what those gummies will do to you, bro? They make you forget everything. Like I was like, I was in Denver for sure.
Those gummies will fuck you up, man. That's damn sure.
Seriously. And bro, they're like, it's honestly in Denver, it's like you walk in and some of the good, like the real nicer dispensaries, they literally have little iPads set up. And the iPad gives you a description of the strand of weed it is, how like the THC level is on this thing. You're buying gummies, you're buying them like they're fucking like you just bought like a bag of like Starburst in the store or some shit. And they're just like, oh, what do you need? Oh, these are 10 milligrams, these are 20 milligrams. That'll cost you $20. That'll cost you this. You're like, what? I didn't even know what I was like doing this shit. I was like, I don't even know what half this shit was, especially when I went like 6 years ago. I was like, what the fuck is this stuff?
I wouldn't make it out the store like being stoned. I'm like, give me the fucking gummies. I'm eating them fucking right now. Then I'll go shopping.
Dude, and everything they say about like, Mile High and being out there and all that kind of shit with the altitude and everything else. Dude, honestly, you don't really feel it, right? Like I didn't, right? When you first land and everything else, you get off the plane, like, the air feels crisp, like, like you don't feel pollution, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, just like, I don't understand people get winded. I don't understand any of this kind of shit. Well, then you have like a couple of beers and maybe you try one of those edibles or something like that. And bro, let me tell you, it's like you did double. Right? So if you had like 3 beers and then you made like, it's like you had a 6-pack and all of a sudden like that gummy is like 10 times stronger. And you're like, what the fuck?
No,
just because of that altitude and shit.
I'm going right now, man. Fuck this podcast short, man. We out.
Jules, did you go skiing when you were up there?
Did I go where?
Did you go skiing while you were out in Colorado?
No. I just I stayed mainly in downtown when I was there. I went to a Rockies game. That was kind of cool, like that shit.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So I got a funny story about Colorado. Like I said, I went there a few times. I went there for my boy's birthday. Went to go skiing. Went to Aspen, Breckenridge, and shit. And I had been to Colorado, but not actually gone skiing. I just went there for so toy store.
Gummies.
So I had gone there, and when you don't, like you said, when you land, you don't feel any different. You don't feel like, oh, the air is thinner, I gotta breathe harder. You don't feel anything. But if you go to the top of a mountain on a fucking snowboard and try to go down the mountain just straight away, you probably are gonna have a problem by the time you get down the mountain. That's what happened to me. They just said, no, you'll be fine. It's a myth, because him and his cousin had gone before, my friend Mike. So I was like, all right, no problem. We'll go up to the top. We're not thinking really it was going to be a big deal. And then all of a sudden, this fucking snowstorm comes in. The mountain's huge, so you can't, you can get easily lost, away from everybody. And there was a blizzard that had come through. Nice. So they're like 50 feet ahead of me. I can't see them anymore, and now I fucking can't breathe. I sit down. I'm sitting down for like 5 minutes trying to catch my breath. Sounds like a great time. Bro, I'm by myself now. They're gone. Who knows where the fuck they are? I'm sitting by myself 5 minutes, right? And I'm sitting there for that amount of time, and literally it's snowing so hard that I'm getting covered with snow, and I'm disappearing as I'm watching it. I'm like, if I fucking pass out, I'm going to be buried under a foot of snow. No one's going to find me until fucking May. This is a nightmare.
You really can't breathe like that air. Like, is it really
that?
Yeah,
you feel sick.
Really?
Hey, you know what's crazy? Now that I think about it, we went to the Rockies game, and it was probably the only time that I experienced any kind of thing. So at the Rockies Stadium, they literally have this bar. They call it like the outdoor deck type bar, whatever the heck the name of it is. And you literally have to go above the upper deck to go to the bar. It's like the highest point in the stadium. And when we were going up like the last like 2 flights of stairs, like I stopped for a second. I was like, what the fuck? Look, I know I'm not like in the greatest shape in the world, but I'm like, damn, I'm not this out of shape. Like, what the fuck just happened? And like you get taken back for like a minute where you're just like, all right. And then like all of a sudden you get back up there and I'm like, where's the bar? I need a fucking drink.
I heard like if you like bang different women out there, like it's like erotic asphyxiation. It's like fucking tying your fucking rope around your neck, almost passing out while you're fucking having sex out in Denver. I gotta get it to Denver, man. It might be fucking fun.
Oh, dude, yeah. No, it's definitely cool. It is cool. Like I said, but then it's weird. Weekends are great, but then during the week, it's fucking dead.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like I was there from like from Saturday to Tuesday, and by Thursday, whatever. And like Monday, Tuesday night was quiet as fuck, man. It was like there was nobody around for miles.
Wow.
Yeah, you either have to go there to go skiing, which isn't Denver. The mountains are a couple hours away from Denver, but if you go there, for weed, if you want to do that. If you like hiking, like trails and stuff like that, if you're into that kind of shit, that's good for there too.
Well, if you're into college football too, Boulder's not that far. Boulder's like a 40-minute ride, I think, from Denver. Like you can literally do a day in Boulder, which is like, like I said, a 40-minute ride, rent a car, some shit, and go catch a Colorado game over there.
Yeah, I hear Boulder is super grungy though. There's mad bums there, mad fucking hipsters, so you might not want to go there.
So it's like Brooklyn.
No, this is like wooden beads and hemp scarves and stuff like that.
Well, our next podcast is coming straight from fucking Denver, Colorado, guys.
Next week I'm there. I'll go with you guys.
I'm gonna be passed out from having sex for fucking about a minute and a half, when usually I'm passed out after 3 minutes. Can't wait to go to Denver.
Yo, look, you'll end up at like one of the hotels like on the top floor and shit. So like you do get a little bit of that buzz when you get out of the elevator and shit.
I'm gonna have to get that life alert button. I'm gonna fucking be pressing. I can't. I fall in it. I can't fucking breathe. I'm in Denver. Help. Can't wait, man. That's a nice trip, man. I gotta fucking plan a trip out there.
Yeah, like I said, like I've seen a few of those dispensaries. Denver still has got like I haven't gone to any in California, to be fair, but the ones that I've gone to like in Vegas and a few other spots, the nicest ones I've seen were in Denver so far. They just like you think you're walking into like a nice, like when you go into like the liquor stores, but like the ones that are like specialized in wine and they have all the sections, so like European this, blah blah blah, Argentinian, and you're like, oh man, it's a nice place, right? That's how you feel when you walk into some of these dispensaries where you're just like, what the fuck? I mean, not that this is one of my things, but cool, I'll check it out.
Bro, it's like walking into a jewelry store, some of these places.
Yeah.
Showcases, like everything is like on those little like lit up little stands and stuff like that. It really is glorious. And then the best part about it, the truth is the truth. The best part about it is you can't get in trouble for it. You know what I mean? So my brother got married in Savannah, Georgia this past December. October. And we drove down, and when we're driving back up, Washington, listen to the honor of this. Washington D.C. has dispensaries everywhere. So we're driving up 95. We passed through D.C. Went to a dispensary to pick some shit up. So I fucking buy like a couple ounces worth of shit. Right, my girl was with me, so we were able to buy a couple ounces. Got 2 white bags walking right out of a fucking dispensary, and a group of like bicycle academy cops drove by. So I'm walking there with, definitely in Jersey, amount of weed that you're getting arrested for, no question about it. I don't care how cool the cop is. So you just walk out, bro. They look at you, smile, and just fucking keep it moving, man. It was glorious. It really is. I can't.
It doesn't make any sense, man. It's so weird. Like
federally, it's illegal, but in the place that is the capital of the federal everything, it is completely legal. Like these politicians who vote on this shit to get to their fucking from Virginia, wherever they're living, Maryland, to get to the fucking White House and all these different places in DC, they have to pass by dispensaries. Yet when they vote on it legally, they don't want to fucking do it. It's such a fucking joke.
I was in DC like 3 years ago to see some kind of concert. I don't remember it being legal back then, right? It must have just happened.
Very recent.
Yeah, it was
recent.
Yeah, because I would definitely see dispensaries. I would have stopped.
Oh yeah, you're crazy.
Yeah, they're nice guys.
The thing with Vegas is that they couldn't technically be exactly on the strip. So you had to go like a little bit off the strip to go to one of the dispensaries. Like that was like the agreement they came up with. But it's still close as shit. Like if you had to jump in an Uber, it costs you like maybe $5 to $10 to go there. You know what I mean? They'll even wait outside for you and shit.
So dumb.
Are you telling me that they drew a line fucking of decency at weed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine like they got
no weed.
They got hookers running up and down that fucking joint on the fucking strip.
Well, technically, they're not supposed to be on the strip either, Mike.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they got ranch.
That's what the hard line is. Can't break that
strip's got kids and shit, bro. Like, they got to keep it clean. It's Vegas.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
But that's who the Giants should draft. So, like, I think we fucking made the end of the show, man. We went off the fucking beat.
Yeah, we definitely went off the radar a little bit. We got some more stuff to talk about, but because we got so much to go between now and the draft and free agency. We got some time to like share some stories too,
Yeah, we got to get to know us, man. So you got to fall in love with the guys here.
That's
the Giants.
Right. So if you're good fans, like if you want to reach out to us and send us your weed, please, like just mail it to us.
Yeah, and if you know some dispensaries outside, like besides Denver, that you would rank, go ahead, put it up there, man. We're curious, right? Because what we're going to look to do is take the show on the road, maybe one of these, if not this season, when this whole COVID thing lifts, and we're going to do a show from out there in one of these like parking lots or one of these stadiums. So if there's another dispensary or one of these towns that we're going into this season, let us know, man. We'll go check that shit out. We'll go do a weekend out of it.
You know what we should do, guys? I think this is the move right here.
That's why they got the whole thing set up, man. We just put you on the podcast with us through this shit.
We could do, if you wanted, when the next time that the Giants play Washington, we could do a little live stream from enemy territory. Instead of doing
that's an idea. We gotta see if they let how the whole COVID situation fans out in the next few months. But maybe you'll catch us there. I'll let you know if the dispensaries are better in Washington than they are in Colorado.
I know Philly would be a dump.
Oh, yeah, fuck Philly. But listen, I think that kind of wraps us up for this week's edition of Giants Brawl. You know where to catch us. You catch us at Giants Brawl on Twitter. Giants Brawl, if you want to email us at giantsbrawl@AOL. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We might even be on TikTok soon. Still not haven't figured that one out. Go into that a little bit more next week for sure. You want to reach out to us individually, you catch J Depot at NYG Slap Parade, Mike Train at Mike Train MFT, and Jules at Jules NYC. We're out. We'll see you next week. Peace.